Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Earth's ultimate weapon, the Supercarrier no one saw coming. The underestimated species, the Corda T, science vessel Eternal Seeker, drifted silently at the edge of the Sol system, its advanced cloaking technology rendering it invisible to Earth's primitive detection systems. Captain Zell stood on the command deck, her six-fingered hands clasped behind her back as she studied the holographic display of the small blue planet. Another world of primitives, she noted with disdain, they've barely managed to reach their own moon. Science Officer Mariel nodded in agreement, scrolling through data on human technological development. Their advancement is peculiar, Captain. They achieved nuclear fission nearly 80 solar cycles ago but have made remarkably little progress since then. Their space technology is particularly underdeveloped. Typical pattern for species that waste resources on internal conflicts, Zero replied. The Emperor will be pleased to add another resource-rich world with minimal resistance. Begin comprehensive scanning and prepare our report. The Corda T had conquered 17 star systems over the past 3 centuries, methodically expanding their empire through a combination of overwhelming technological superiority and calculated diplomacy. Earth would become merely another footnote in their expansionist history. 3 weeks later, Admiral Vexler of the Corda T Imperial Fleet reviewed the Eternal Seeker's findings with mild interest. As the Empire's foremost military strategist, he had overseen the subjugation of numerous worlds, but rarely was he personally assigned to such an insignificant acquisition. You wish me to handle this personally, High Commander? Vexler asked, his crystalline eyes narrowing as he addressed his superior via quantum communication. High Commander Drell's holographic form flickered slightly. The Emperor believes this world may have strategic importance beyond its apparent value. Their development pattern is unusual. They possess nuclear weapons yet lack basic interplanetary travel capabilities. They've developed quantum computing but still burn fossil fuels. Something doesn't align with our understanding of technological progression. Vexler considered this. Perhaps they simply developed inefficiently, perhaps, regardless, the Emperor desires a smooth transition of authority. Your diplomatic skills, combined with an appropriate show of force, should suffice. The usual protocol, demonstrate our capabilities, offer integration into the Empire, and establish dominance early. How much resistance is anticipated? Minimal. Their military technology is centuries behind ours, and they have no unified planetary defense. Our analysts predict a 97% probability of peaceful surrender once our capabilities are demonstrated. Vexler nodded. I will depart immediately with the 7th Fleet. The arrival of the Corda T ships was humanity's first confirmation they weren't alone in the universe. 7 massive vessels, each nearly 2 kilometers long, appeared in high Earth orbit simultaneously, their sudden manifestation triggering global panic and a flurry of emergency military responses. Within hours, a transmission in perfect English was broadcast globally. People of Earth, we are the Corda T Empire, a galactic civilization that spans 17 star systems. We have observed your world and determined it is ready for integration into our benevolent empire. We offer technological advancement, protection, and prosperity in exchange for your allegiance and resources. Your leaders have 48 hours to arrange a diplomatic summit. Resistance is unnecessary and would result in regrettable consequences. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session as military forces worldwide went to their highest alert status. After 12 hours of heated debate, they agreed to meet with the alien representatives. Admiral Vexler, accompanied by a contingent of Corda T officials, descended to Earth in a shuttle that effortlessly neutralized all tracking systems and defensive measures. They landed on the grounds of the United Nations headquarters in New York, emerging with an air of casual superiority. I am Admiral Vexler of the Corda T Empire, he announced to the assembled world leaders. I come with the authority to negotiate Earth's peaceful transition into our civilization. Human Secretary-General Dr. Amara Okafor stepped forward. We welcome peaceful contact with your civilization, Admiral. However, Earth is not seeking to surrender its sovereignty. Vexler smiled indulgently. I understand your hesitation. Allow me to demonstrate why resistance would be futile. He activated a small device on his wrist, and suddenly the room filled with holographic displays showing real-time images of every major military installation on Earth. Your defensive capabilities are entirely known to us. Your most powerful weapons could not penetrate even the secondary shields of our smallest vessels. To emphasize his point, one of the Corda-T ships in orbit fired a precision energy beam that vaporized an uninhabited island in the Pacific. The demonstration was broadcast live to the summit and to the world. This was at minimal power, Vexler explained calmly. We can target any location on your planet with absolute precision. We can disable your power grids, communication systems, and military capabilities without harming a single human, or we can reduce your cities to ash. The choice is yours. The room fell silent. However, Vexler continued, his tone softening. We prefer peaceful integration. Your people will benefit enormously from our technology and protection. Your lives will improve, we ask only for your allegiance and a reasonable contribution of resources. After 3 days of tense negotiations, the Earth's leaders appeared to concede. They signed a preliminary agreement that acknowledged Corda-T authority and established a transitional period of 1 Earth year, during which human governments would continue to function under Corda-T oversight. Vexler, I am pleased with the outcome, your wisdom serves your people well. In time, humans will be proud citizens of the Empire, he told the assembled leaders. What the Corda-T didn't realize was that humanity had been preparing for this moment longer than anyone could have imagined. Since the 1950s, a classified global initiative called the Unified Defense Coalition had operated in absolute secrecy, funded by black budgets from major powers and hidden even from most elected officials. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in a massive artificial cavern shielded from all known detection methods, the UDC had spent 70 years developing technology reverse-engineered from a crashed alien vessel discovered in 1947. This wasn't a primitive space program visible to the public and to watching alien eyes, this was humanity's true space capability, developed in absolute secrecy in an underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. General Elena Vasquez of the UDC addressed her fellow commanders via secure communication. The Corda-T have taken the bait. They've bought our act of technological inferiority completely. Our intelligence suggests they've committed only a small portion of their military to Earth's occupation, believing we pose no threat. Admiral James Chen nodded grimly. Project Avalon is ready for deployment, all systems are operational, all crews prepared. What about civilian casualties? Asked Field Marshal Quasio Conquo. If this goes wrong, it won't. Vasquez replied firmly, we've spent decades preparing for this exact scenario. Our apparent surrender has given us the time we need to finalize preparations without arousing suspicion. Dr. Sanjay Kapoor, lead scientist of the UDC, spoke up, the Corda-T technology we've observed confirms our theories, their shields operate on predictable energy frequencies. Avalon systems should penetrate them effectively. Vasquez nodded. The Corda-T have given us 30 days to begin resource transfers. On day 29, we launched Operation Thunderbolt. For the next 4 weeks, Earth appeared to comply with Corda-T demands. Small resource shipments began, human military forces stood down, and integration committees were formed. Admiral Vexler reported to High Command that the assimilation was proceeding smoothly, though he noted that humans seemed remarkably unconcerned about their subordinate status. They adapt quickly to new circumstances, he reported. They show appropriate difference but maintain a curious confidence, perhaps it is simply a cultural trait. High Commander Drill was pleased. The Emperor will be gratified to hear of your success. Continue as planned. As the deadline for the first major resource transfer approached, Vexler observed increased activity in Earth's oceans. When questioned, human leaders explained it was part of the resource-gathering operations. Corda-T scans detected nothing unusual, and Vexler's suspicions were momentarily allayed. On the 29th day, Admiral Wexler received a message requesting his presence at a special ceremony marking Earth's formal acceptance of Quarter T rule. Pleased with this sign of submission, he agreed to attend personally. The revelation: Admiral Wexler's shuttle descended toward the United Nations complex in New York, accompanied by an honor guard of Quarter T warriors. As they approached, his tactical officer suddenly stiffened. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures rising from Earth's oceans worldwide." Wexler frowned. "Explain." "Unknown technology, sir. Nothing matching Earth's known capabilities." The officer was interrupted by a priority communication from the Quarter T fleet. "Admiral, massive objects are emerging from the planetary oceans. They appear to be warships." Wexler's shuttle accelerated back toward orbit as he processed this impossible information. "Show me," he commanded. The view screen displayed stunning imagery from the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. Enormous vessels were rising, each nearly 3 kilometers in length, larger than anything in the Quarter T fleet. Their sleek obsidian hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Most shocking of all, they bore no resemblance to known human engineering. "Impossible," Wexler whispered. "Our intelligence indicated no such capabilities." As his shuttle rejoined the Quarter T fleet, the situation became clear. 7 massive human warships had taken position around Earth, perfectly mirroring the Quarter T formation, and rising from behind Earth's moon came the most stunning sight of all, a vessel of truly staggering proportions, easily 10 kilometers long, its hull bearing the markings UDC Avon. A communication request flashed on Wexler's command console, and he accepted it with growing dread. General Elena Vasquez appeared on screen, seated on what was clearly the command bridge of the enormous vessel. "Admiral Wexler, I believe it's time we renegotiated the terms of our relationship." Wexler struggled to maintain his composure. "This is unexpected. Your deception was quite thorough." "Not deception, Admiral Prudence. For over 70 years we've known we weren't alone in the universe. We've been preparing accordingly, keeping our true capabilities hidden." "Those vessels cannot be of human design," Vasquez said. Wexler's tactical mind raced. "You've stolen technology," he said. Vasquez smiled. "Let's say we had a head start. A crashed Rexilian scout ship in 1947 gave us our first glimpse of advanced technology. Since then, we've developed it in our own direction. The Avalon and her sister ships represent entirely human innovation, built upon that initial foundation." Wexler's second-in-command whispered urgently, "Admiral, their weapon systems are powering up, targeting locks on all our vessels." "You misunderstand our intentions," Wexler said quickly. "The Quarter T Empire brings prosperity, the Quarter T Empire brings subjugation." Vasquez interrupted, "We've studied your history thoroughly. Every world you've integrated has been stripped of resources and reduced to a client state. Earth will not share that fate." As if to emphasize her point, the Avalon fired a precisely calculated energy pulse that disabled the weapon systems on Wexler's flagship without causing any structural damage. "That was a courtesy demonstration," Vasquez explained. "Our weaponry could have destroyed your entire fleet, but we prefer peaceful resolution." For the first time in his distinguished career, Admiral Wexler found himself completely outmaneuvered. His tactical displays showed the human vessel's energy signatures dwarfing his own fleet capabilities. Their shield technology appeared to operate on principles unknown to Quarter T science. "What are your terms?" he asked, his voice steady despite the shock. "Earth will remain independent. The Quarter T Empire will recognize our sovereignty and establish diplomatic relations as equals. We're prepared to engage in fair trade and cultural exchange, but any aggression will be met with decisive response." The next 12 hours were the most tense in human history. The Quarter T fleet maintained position while Admiral Wexler conferred with his superiors. The UDC vessels likewise held formation, their weapon systems remaining at full readiness. Finally, Wexler requested another conference. "The Emperor has considered your position," he announced formally. "While unprecedented, he recognizes humanity's unique status and agrees to establish diplomatic relations between our civilizations as sovereign equals. The relief on the UDC command bridge was palpable, though they maintained professional composure. However, Vexler continued, I am instructed to inquire about your intentions regarding the wider galactic community. The Corda-T are not the only power in this region of space. General Vasquez nodded, we seek peaceful relations with all civilizations, but we will defend our independence uncompromisingly. We believe we have much to offer the galactic community through trade, cultural exchange, and scientific collaboration. Your technology, Vexler said carefully, it surpasses expectations for your development stage. The Emperor would be interested in exchange opportunities. We're open to mutual technology sharing with appropriate safeguards, Vasquez replied. We believe diversity of approach leads to greater innovation. 3 months later, the first official Corda-T embassy opened in Geneva, while a human diplomatic mission established residence on the Corda-T home world. The revelation of Earth's hidden capability sent shock waves through galactic civilization. Species that had dismissed humans as primitive newcomers now scrambled to establish relations. Admiral Vexler, to his surprise, was not punished for his failure to subjugate Earth. Instead, he was appointed as the Corda-T ambassador to humanity. His experience with the deceptively resourceful species was deemed invaluable. In his private quarters in the embassy, Vexler recorded his observations for the Imperial Archives. The humans represent something unprecedented in our experience, a species that developed in near isolation, yet somehow anticipated the nature of galactic politics perfectly. Their deception was masterful, their preparation thorough. Most remarkable is their technological approach, which follows paths our scientists never considered. I believe the Emperor was wise to accept alliance rather than risk conflict. The humans possess not only formidable military capability but an ingenuity that makes them unpredictable. Their history of internal conflict has honed a particular resourcefulness and resilience. Most concerning is the question that forces us to consider, if we so completely misjudged one species, what other surprises might await us among the stars? The era of easy Corda-T expansion may well be over, replaced by a more complex galactic balance of power. The humans have a saying, appearances can be deceiving. It seems we would do well to remember this wisdom in our future explorations. As the Avalon and her sister ships took their place as humanity's guardians, Earth began its emergence as a major galactic power, not through conquest or intimidation, but through the revelation of strength hidden beneath an unassuming exterior. The galaxy, which had once laughed at Earth's apparent primitive nature, now watched with newfound respect as humanity joined the interstellar community on its own uncompromising terms. Admiral Chen insisted on leading the strike force personally. Captain Riaz, I wouldn't have asked anyone to take a risk she wouldn't take herself, she said, when her staff protested, neither will I. The mission launched undercover. A massive diversionary attack was executed. Every remaining human vessel and weapons system fired simultaneously at Vex ships across the globe. As expected, the Vex responded with mathematical precision, their vessels moving into optimal defensive formations that, while efficient, were now predictable to human strategists. Maya's strike team, 12 enhanced Phoenix units, slipped through the resulting gaps in the Vex defensive screen. Their erratic, seemingly random course changes confounded the aliens' targeting algorithms. They took losses, 4 ships were destroyed in the initial approach, 3 more as they closed on the command vessel, but the remaining 5 reached their target. Chaos Protocol Omega, Maya ordered as they made their final approach. Everyone, pick a different vector, give them too many targets to track. The Phoenix units broke formation, each pilot executing maneuvers that defied tactical logic, loops, spins, sudden stops, and accelerations. 2 more were destroyed, but Maya's ship and 2 others made it to the command vessel's outer hull, deploying payload. Maya announced, her voice steady despite the chaos around her, the special weapon, dubbed the Headache by the scientists who created it, launched from my ship's bay, attaching to the Vex vessel's hull. The other surviving Phoenix units did the same, payloads attached, and detonation occurred in 3, 2, 1, there was no explosion, no visible effect at all. For a terrible moment, Maya feared the weapon had failed. Then, the massive Vex command ship seemed to shudder its normally fluid, gracefully moving metal hull and froze in place. The smaller Vex vessels nearby began moving erratically, some colliding with each other. "It's working," one of the surviving pilots exclaimed. "Look at them, they're confused." Maya didn't wait to celebrate. All Phoenix units, return to base. All Earth forces pressed the advantage while it lasted. The retreat from the Vex command ship was chaotic but successful. As Maya's damaged Phoenix fighter limped back toward Earth, she watched in amazement as the Vex fleet's perfect formation disintegrated into disorder. Without central command, the individual ships seemed incapable of coordinating effectively. Earth's remaining forces, together with a small contingent of Meridian vessels that had arrived as reinforcements, hammered the disorganized Vex ships. Within hours, the aliens began a full retreat, their vessels limping toward the same wormhole apertures through which they'd arrived months earlier. The victory wasn't total, the Vex would recover, regroup, and potentially return, but humanity had won itself a reprieve and, more importantly, proven that the supposedly invincible aliens could be defeated. In the aftermath, as Earth began the long process of rebuilding, human representatives were invited to join a covert assembly of species who had suffered under Vex aggression. The Meridian Collective, it turned out, had been quietly building an alliance, gathering intelligence, and developing technologies to counter the Vex threat. "You humans have contributed something invaluable," Farara told Maya during the first official diplomatic meeting. "You've shown that the Vex can be beaten, not through superior technology, but through the one thing they cannot compute, unpredictability, creativity, the willingness to defy conventional logic in pursuit of survival." "We just did what humans have always done," Maya replied. "Adapt or die." Precisely, she thought. Thura's skin rippled with patterns that Maya had learned indicated amusement. The Vex believed they were selecting the weakest, most manageable species to eliminate. When they chose to target Earth instead, they challenged perhaps the most dangerous species in the galaxy, one that thrives on adversity and grows stronger through conflict. Maya thought of Captain Riaz and her final message: they challenged the wrong species. Now they know it, she agreed. As Earth rebuilt and humanity took its first tentative steps into a wider galactic community, the message sent back to Vex space was simple: we remain undefeated. We remain free. Challenge us again at your peril. The Vex never responded, and they never returned to Earth either. They had learned what countless others throughout human history had discovered, that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology or its numbers, but its infinite capacity to adapt, to innovate, and to find victory in the face of impossible odds. They had challenged the wrong species, indeed.